Your greatness is not the values society imposes upon you. It's not determined by culture or family or upbringings. Greatness is measured by courage and heart. It is found in every one of us, and if given the opportunity to discover it, it's the power that will change the world.
In a community where gang violence, substance abuse, and poverty are faced every day, there are lives just like you and me who are facing some of the hardest conditions. Growing up in Egoli, the children are being raised with limited accessibility to the outside world. Many of them have never even seen beyond the dusty streets of their community. Hungry and hopeless, they are desperate for someone to reach in to instill hope and awaken a dream. We are here to ensure that the voices of those at greatest risk are being heard.
From the age of 7, 8, 9, they already start to hustle and get money simply because their parents are on drugs or they're into alcoholism. Their parents doesn't work and the children feel obligated to go out. They're finding themselves in a place where they probably lost hope. You know, it reminds me of my dad, really. He had a very good job. He worked for a Jewish family. When I was 2 years old, the government introduced forced removals. Because he was a man of color, he could not manage the shop in a white community. He also lost his income, taken out of a community and just dumped somewhere. You grow up with that as, you know, you don't have value. He then became an alcoholic. It was up to my mom then from then onwards, because at the end of the day he had 11 children and it was very tough. She was a machinist, they were just earning basic salary.
Located on the outskirts of Cape Town, South Africa, Egoli is an informal settlement consisting of over 2,500 shacks crammed into an area the size of 2 city blocks, with around 25,000 destitute people surviving it. The greatest victims of Egoli are her children. 60% of the population are under the age of 14, lacking education, proper hygiene, running water, and basic necessities like clothing. Many of these children have been left orphaned, with no one to care for them.
When my wife and I, Glenda, came to Egoli, I recognized that hopelessness. It took me back to my childhood when I was not knowing where the next meal was going to come from. I resorted to this kind of lifestyle. I can remember even from 6 years old, 7 years old, I was beaten up almost every day.
Ik heb net gelopen en gegaan, het is ook al gejaagd, het is later, maar zomaar. Ik heb 1 dag gelopen en me geslaan, dat ik weet hoe kon niet.
Young boys from ages 13 through 18 become the most vulnerable group of kids because of the threat of gangsterism and drugs. It's often the only opportunity they are offered for survival. This leads to a life of violence, crime, drug abuse, and early death. In contrast to Cape Town being one of the most beautiful cities in the world, it is also ranked as one of the most dangerous.
Soccer is almost like a hobby. It keeps you out of the trouble. And such on. That's why I chose soccer instead of smoking, gambling. Soccer is something that keeps you out of the trouble.
I can remember one day, I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. I was beaten up so bad that I had to toughen myself up. From that day onwards, we then formed the Bad Boys gang. We would rob people and we would beat kids up. What changed my life when this guy Leonard, he started this soccer team called Bits and Pieces. Took our focus away from the gangster lifestyle. From then onwards, I started to play soccer, play outside of my community. So for the first time, played a team called Durbanville. Was really intimidating was, the facilities, broken boots, and seeing the amount of field, and we play on a field that is not even, it wasn't even normal size. I think structure like that showed me that these kids had some value. It was something that I desired. Egoli is no different. The children from Egoli, they need people to invest in their lives.
One of the things and the challenges they face every single day is to have just a meal. I know of one girl particular who, she's probably about 12, is having to resort to prostitution. It's just to get money to put food on the table. Their parents are maybe too old, some of them are sick because AIDS and TB is quite rife in the informal settlement. Their reality and the conditions are so harsh that they will just drink and be in this place where it takes them out. For the father, it is hard. He can't support his family. A lot of them have just given up.
My man het my baie abuse. Ek was geslaan, vol bloed geweest en dan het hy seks voor die kinders.
I find even with the women that are so abused by their partners that they go to the authorities because they come from an informal settlement. They've sent women away and said, go deal with your situation at home.
Ek het weggehardloop van hom af. En hy kon nie voorgebleef daar steen wat ek buite kan geslaap met my kinders. Ek plek wat ek gebly het, ek het gewerk vir my kinders. Ek het nooit op ander mense staat gemaak nie. Pasta Glenda en pasta Brian het vir my noedels gegee. Ek het na die mense se huise toe gegaan en ek het dit gaan verkoop. En die geld wat ek gemaak het, het ek vir my 'n kers gekoop en ek het lampolie gekoop en iets om te eet vir die kinders. Ek kan nie slaap nie want die rotte, hulle pla vir ons en ons groot rotte. Hulle eet my kinders se kos en ek is bang hulle eet my kinders.
Gou nie so in Egoli te bly nie. Ek het altyd ryk mense op televisie gesien en ek doen altyd eendag soos hulle kinders. Ryk mense is gelukkig as die arme mense.
We have a center called the Mountain View Dream Center. When we give these kids shoes or anything, we have to dress them here at the center. Let them play in the shoes so that it can be dirty, so that it's not easy for them to sell the shoes. Because these kids come out of the shacks, these outside toilets, these kids don't know about and flushing, closing taps. They wash their hands and they move on. Yes, we're teaching and training because they don't have those facilities where they come from. At the center, we had the toilets tiled, and there was this young boy, we would look for him, and he would just stand in the toilet, look at the tiles. He's never seen tiles in his life, and he's 8 years old. Ashwin's parents aren't involved in his life. He lives with his grandmother, who is 95 years of age, and she's not very active. She looks after him, and she had approached myself and Brian that if she's not there one day, if we would adopt him. When Brian and I started with the center, we said when the kids come through this gate, they must forget about their surroundings and their environment, and they must just get lost in a safe place. One of our challenges is that when some of them, when they come here, they are so tired. In winter, it's really harsh. They sit around the fire till late at night because it's so cold in the shack. And often we have to let them take a nap first before we can even start the program with them. There's structure, and we have a routine, and then they wash their hands and their face. When we give them their porridge, we had to train them to sit down and eat. Because where they come from, they don't have tables in their house. They're not exposed to that. So they will stand outside and eat their porridge. They will walk around. For us, it's so important to teach these kids the simple things in life. We have to bring structure into their lives. One of our challenges is that teach them to be responsible, how we speak to them. We are creating different cultures and behavior.
Hulle leer ons goeie maniere en hulle behandel ons ook met goeie maniere. By die huis kry ek drukkies en nie by die Dream Center kry ek baie drukkies. Hulle is lief vir jou hier.
I've heard how some of the adults and parents speak to these kids. So they come here and they get the love, they get the attention, and we allow them to be who they really are. They're not exposed to parks, toys, books, and so we let them read. We have puppets, we have the games, we have cars. The bigger boys, you throw a ball and there's a soccer game.
The age of, I think it was about 14, you must remember that we were living in the heart of apartheid at the time. I always looked at Table Mountain, but from my view, Table Mountain wasn't flat. I started to move around and see different things in my city. Obviously, so Table Mountain was flat.
Ek wil graag eendag na Soccer Stadium toe gaan. Ek was nog nooit daar nie.
For them to see life from a different perspective.
Now it will just arouse the curiosity on what else is out there for me.
But they need people to invest in them.
For instance, we go to the waterfront and experience to give them money. So just going to a counter and ordering a burger and a cool drink will be an experience in itself. And then taking them to maybe on a boat trip. There's a captain on the boat, I can be the captain on the boat. Exposing them to various kinds of jobs.
Die werke wat daar is wat 'n mens eendag kan doen. Is plaaswerk, gebouwerk. My ma werk op die blommeplaas en my pa se bouer. My ouma werk nie. My ouma moet geld leen vir ons. My oupa werk, my ouma werk.
I do believe that when they see an outside world, the perspective on life will change. Soccer at the end of the day is a tool. That is the tool that we put out there to get them to come to the center, and they love the soccer, but we feel that we just need to do more.
Our desire is to provide for these kids an opportunity to dream and to instill in them a vision. Something as simple as a van, which provides mobility and transport, can help us take these children on journeys to help them discover that there is more. To put in front of them a vision that they can become more than their current circumstance, and the possibilities are limitless if they dare to dream.
And if we can achieve that, we have achieved our goal.
Coach sê vir my altyd hy is trots op my. Ek wil eendag ook 'n coach wees, ek wil my eie team hê. Ek wil graag so spoorbaar wees en hy speel by Man United. Ek wil eendag soos Lionel Messi is en hy speel vir Paris.